Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. This channel is proudly sponsored by the following publishers. First, Mythos Games, with the Eros Engine Core Rulebook. This is a standalone RPG but also an add-on that you can apply to any other tabletop RPG, putting great emphasis on passionate, romantic, and erotic encounters. You can represent them mechanically and thematically. Definitely check it out. Next we have Dead Tree Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop role-playing game where you play as monster girls experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have also released the pay-what-you-want tabletop RPG Daughters of Lamb, where you get to play as cybernetic nuns with guns, looking for the missing pieces of their AI god. This channel is also proudly sponsored by the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products, and check out their free tabletop RPG, the Red Roleplaying Game. A generic system that can handle any sort of theme, genre, flavor, setting that you can think of. You will find the links to these amazing publishers in the description and in the pinned comment as well. And speaking about Eros, the Eros Engine, today I conclude my review series, giving you my final thoughts on this game, but also taking a look at the end material. If you haven't seen the other parts of this review series, please check out the playlist in the playlist in the description below. Today, like I said, we start with the end game material before moving on to the final thoughts. In this final part of the book, you have a chapter dedicated to sample characters and non-player characters. This section could be considered a mini bestiary of sorts, the sexual beasts, but also guidelines and instructions on how to come up with non-player characters in a very simple and fast way. You have the description and background, hooks and motivation, as well as stat highlights for all of the non-player characters. In other words, you have simplified game-ready traits and the background and all of that for easy reference. You have characters such as Seraphine of Aelwyn, the fantasy bard, or Tharic Stonehand for fantasy settings as well. You have Nyx 47, the cyberpunk courtesan. You have Elena Varga, the slice of life teacher. So you have many genres. These non-player characters serve as examples to come up with your own, or using these non-player characters straight from the pages. When it comes to the NPC templates, they are simple arrangements for you to come up with generic or more important non-player characters during the sessions. And if you want to further modify these templates, it is very easy to do. So this is a great section overall. If you want to introduce a noble consort, a succubus, a street doctor, a corporate handler, you have the templates for that here. Next, you have advice on how to use these non-player characters. They are not just decoration, they are the lifeblood of the world. When building or improvising non-player characters, you don't need to draft a full character sheet. Instead, you focus on three essentials: a strength, a weakness, and a hook. NPCs thrive on drama. Their presence should complicate or deepen the player character's choices. NPCs are also tools for world building, and they also enhance the pacing and the spotlight. Next, you have a section dedicated entirely to quick reference tables. You have all of the material here concerning the round structure, the mood states, the position modifier table. It's all in this section, very handy. And then you have a chapter dedicated to compatibility with other role-playing games. You can take this Eros Engine Core Rulebook and use it to enhance romance and erotica in any tabletop RPG, be it Dungeons and Dragons, Vampire the Masquerade, Cyberpunk, any tabletop RPG. I think it's going to be especially useful in many anime-style tabletop role-playing games, perhaps OVA or OVA or Big Eyes, Small Mouth, to enhance the romantic and erotic aspect. You even have here conversion examples. In the case of Dungeons and Dragons, you could handle charm as charisma or vice versa. You could also take elements from Dungeons and Dragons into the Eros engine. Perhaps use stamina as constitution or sensitivity to represent dexterity. All of the different attributes and skills from Eros engine can be used as substitutes for the other attributes and skills from any tabletop RPG out there. You have tips and advice on how to integrate dice rolls, converting the dice or adapting them, framing encounters across the system, handling the balance and integration between the mechanics. You even have examples of cross-system scenarios. In Dungeons and Dragons, it could be the Brothel of Blossoms. In Cyberpunk Red, it could be the Neon Seduction Run. In a slice of life type of situation, Campus Crush. You also have details on using this book as a standalone experience or for integrated play, wrapping up everything in a very neat way. You even have a glossary of terms at the very end. And of course, your character sheet, it's all here, and even a sample player character to use. And this is the end of my review, featuring the Eros Engine Core Rulebook. What do I think about it? It is one of a kind. It is the most unique romance and erotica-focused tabletop RPG currently in existence. This is not for everybody, of course. This is for mature players that want to experience some serious or even comedic times with these erotic mechanics. This is for people that don't want to fade things to black when romance or more physical interactions begin. I think that the major weakness of the Eros Engine Core book is that I don't think it is so easy for beginners. If you have never played tabletop RPGs before and you go into the Eros engine, you could be a bit uncertain as to how things could proceed. Especially when it comes to maybe you have only played, let's say, a couple of sessions of Dungeons and Dragons and you want to apply the Eros engine mechanics. Maybe a few more sessions under your belt or doing a bit more research will be required. It's also, although you have guidelines on how to do the conversions, use these with other tabletop RPGs, or use this as a standalone experience, it requires common sense to make those conversions or applying the various skills and attributes. For example, if you wanted to use Eros Engine for a medieval fantasy setting, standalone, no other setting, no Dungeons and Dragons, no anything else, you need to think about the guidelines presented using the oral skill for spells, the hand techniques for perhaps sleight of hand, or when fighting, you need certain, of course, finesse to strike the vital areas of the opponent. Or maybe if you're role-playing more as a raw, furious barbarian, you will employ some stamina-related checks. Eros Engine also does not accommodate too much granularity when it comes to, for example, suffering damage, taking wounds, or perhaps you are using vehicles and your vehicle ends up damaged. Don't expect a complex layered system of wounds and then losing blood and various localized damages applied to the parts of a vehicle. Aside or outside from the romantic and erotic mechanics, everything else should be handled in a very simple way, perhaps even diceless. It's up to you. But my personal recommendation, go diceless in some situations. If there is like let me give you an example. Let's say it's a cyberpunk setting and your characters are engaged, that is, your player character is engaged with a woman he's having sex in the safe house, and the safe house gets attacked and invaded, right? They are going into the safe house. And so if you were to mm, perhaps use some sort of speakers, or make sure that the invaders can hear you, and tell them, whatever they are paying you, I am going to pay you 3 times that. Just let me come out of the room and I will negotiate terms with you, right? And maybe the game master decides, oh well, that sounds like considering the charm of this player character, that is easily doable. His value makes it feasible for that to occur and for the enemies to be convinced. So now you handle things in a diceless way while the character looks for the emergency exit with his girlfriend, right? But what if you decide to run for it? Run immediately to the emergency exit. That sounds like it could be a stamina related check, right? So it's up to you to apply those situations, apply those mechanics to any action that can be undertaken in any other type of tabletop RPG situation. That being said, my highest recommendation: get the Eros Engine Core Rulebook, especially if you are already experienced with tabletop RPGs. There is no tabletop RPG out there that puts such robust yet elegant emphasis on romance and intimate encounters. Thank you for watching this part of the review series, or the entire review series if you watched all of the videos. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button. Take a look at the information in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master, and remember, roleplay solves everything, both in the game and in the bedroom. Once again, thank you, and see you later.